conversations that would help us understand if this person is the right person for us, or a person that who is aligning to our values.
If those persons are like just looking for hookups in the beginning, then I can just like move on and go to another person that might be more potential of interested in having a conversation.
It's also good that power is being co-shared by you and the person you're talking to. So it's not just a man who will lead the conversation all the time. You can also lead the conversation to balance things out.
How can I create a healthy conversation with someone that I just recently chatted with? I'm not even sure where is this coming from, but are there any conversations that are unhealthy to begin with? Are we talking about conversations that are sexually provoking, that you want to lead it to a healthy conversation? Or are we talking about conversations that would help us understand if this person is the right person for us, or a person that who is aligning to our values? Like, what could be an initial question to ask so that you can have a trajectory of a healthy conversation? On our dating site, we are very traditional. We wanted to focus on getting to know each other for in a span of 2 or 3 weeks. That's how we anticipate things. Like, you should be on the platform before you wanted to move on to the next.
Okay.
However, based on my observations from different dating platforms, we are entering into a new era of dating, and that's what you called as hooking up or situationship. Hooking up is basically, it's let's go and do this.
That's how it is.
Yes. Well, it's more than just a one-night stand this time. They see hookups as an introductory to dating. And if we click, let's go for another hookup. And maybe if we click again, let's go for a third hookup. And maybe we can go on a date after that.
So it's testing each other's body first,
I suppose. The second one is situationship. Situationship is a romantic or sexual relationship that is undefined and non-committal. People in a situationship are more than friends, but less than committed romantic partners. Incorporate the new era of dating. How do you create a healthy conversation with someone that How can I create a healthy conversation with someone that I just recently chatted with, knowing that there is this new generation of or level of dating where I can easily hook up and see how it goes, or I can be in a situationship.
When we had this conversation about this question, it was really more on how the pacing of the conversation should be like for it to feel healthy for our trans sisters. Means to say, because again, it's very confusing how to start a conversation. But I think the questions that the thoughts we had around this question were, number one, get to know the person really more prior to even jumping into meeting the person. Means to say, this is just like how you build friendship with someone. You don't proceed to the very hardcore questions of will you marry me? But these are the questions that were asked in the platform. Treat the conversation as you getting to know someone. So what are the things or what are the questions that we ask if you want to know someone?
I think for me, I'm more on the light side. I don't want to make it more heavy or very sensitive or like controversial topics. For example, like I don't want to focus there. I think we'll give, the potential person or guy like be more interested. What I love asking recently, I would ask them, what really made you interested about trans women?
So that's your next phase, Tiff. That's your next phase type of, okay.
Yeah, I would ask them in general, not just me, Like I would say like, what made you interested about trans women? And then that I would also learn from what their purpose is, what they're really looking for. I used to do a lot of hookups back in the days, but I'm not into that anymore. So in order for me to probably figure that out, I had to bring this type of questions. If those persons are like just looking for hookups in the beginning, then, I can just like move on and go to another person that might be more potential of interested in having a conversation. But there's also now, like recently, like a lot of guys don't want to chase because they have a lot of options. So that's another thing.
Also a good, also
Oh,
a good angle.
You really have to balance the way you respond to them, because if you don't show that much of interest anymore, you'd be like hard to get, like then I think that's the opportunity that they will move on to a different person to talk to.
I mean, personally, to me, games don't work. This is more personality based, really, these types of
yes.
approaches. It has also something to do with your background, where you're coming from, what your experiences in life were. The moment you've reached that point where you practically know each other, have talked to this person for almost 2 months, you already know each other's rhythm. How do you move from there?
Yeah.
I think if you feel comfortable about this person, where this person is coming from, and the intention of this person in dating, just like how Tiffany described intention building is. I mean, personally, I would take that as a cue to when are we meeting. That I think it's great to meet this person, and that will be the second step. But since if you look at, say, ability of mobility, the level of mobility of most men looking for a trans woman anyway, they have more mobility than us, then I think it would be great that this person will fly in and meet you in person.
I resonated with what Polly said earlier, that I'm looking for someone who's going to travel, because if I can travel, then I will be there meeting you after 3 weeks of chatting. But because I don't have the resources, because my passport is very, very powerful, then I won't be able to travel right away. As what Polly said, the ability of mobility, it gears more towards men. Then I am looking for that person who can travel. And I think this is where you say it's healthy, because you are being very honest of your intention, right?
Because you know what you want. Because if it's just like a lovely conversation, the moment that fades, that getting to know fades, the next phase would be at least, get to know the person in person, have a
Exactly.
date, get to learn the body language of the person, which is also very important. Is this person really sincere? Number one, you get to see that in person. You don't get to see that through chat. If this person is sincere, if what he was telling you through chat is true in person. So yeah, that to me will be the next step. Go and meet me, period.
Being upfront.
Yeah. Be
I
upfront,
just-
because that's what you want, right?
Exactly. You know what? During our team building, one of our teammates mentioned about cultivating our divine feminine energy. And I didn't know this until our team building. And apparently, divine feminine energy is a thing. Like, girl, it's a real thing. And it's not just about the divine feminine energy of like exuding makeup or being,
No.
it's all about your power as a woman, because all of us, both male and female, have feminine energy. It just so happened that females have more this feminine energy, and because of social structure, we all have these things. But in reality, we all have these things, and this is what we need to harness as trans women. We need to lean back to our feminine energy side, so we will be able to balance things out, and we will be able to understand who we are. And you know what? That team building was really enlightening for me. I'm like, girl, I'm gonna do my divine feminine energy.
So this is one thing that I just want to share this. It might be a woo-woo to some of you, but like I celebrate my woman and my feminine energy during full moon, which is tomorrow night. When you see the full moon, that's where you get more of your feminine energy.
To each his own, right? For Psyche, it might be for 30 days. For others, it might be for 60 days. But it's really understanding your need and knowing your pace of how you're going to get the feeling of someone. And by the time you have reached to the point, that's the time that you are going to kick your divine feminine energy in and say, hey, I want to be healthy. I know what I want. Is this what you want? What's the trajectory of this chatting? I need to know this.
Yeah.
Because a lot of us trans women tends to submit that man needs to lead the conversation, and we are just there with it.
True.
Time to move and take your space.
Yeah, but I think, Matt, where
Yes.
we're about, men leading the conversation. And I realized that, most of the time men would lead the conversation because you also don't know what you want.
Yes.
if you don't know what you want, you don't know what you're doing in that conversation, where you'd like to lead this conversation to, probably because of your own perception of yourself, your own personal insecurities. You're just waiting for where this man will lead me. I don't know, to light or to darkness, wherever, whatever path. Then I think most men would feel like, do I have to, rally this conversation up all the time, or rally this pace all the time? This is when your divine feminine angle matters, because the divine feminine knows boundaries. We're not taking action. We're not getting married yet in this phase. We're just making sure that we're moving at a nice pace, not in a glacial pace, like how
Yeah.
Miranda Priestley would say it. But we're going on a good pace, in a healthy pace. It's also good that power is being co-shared by you and the person you're talking to. So it's not just a man who will lead the conversation all the time. You can also lead the conversation to balance things out. So if you feel that, okay, well, I think I need to step back a bit because I had been leading the conversation for quite some time now, then it's also good that you're stepping back to allow the space for the men to grow, expand, and lead the conversation from time to time too, or even vice versa. But to Mackie's point, most of the time, the man leads the conversation. Probably that's how it will be in the first few weeks, but definitely there should be turn taking along the way, or else it will just be bland and boring and blah. So
That is
ask a
true.
person to meet you now for full moon tomorrow.
I was about to say there are also trans sisters who are too dominant that they forget their divine feminine energy, that they are the one who's taking the conversation, they're the one who's leading the conversation because they want the guy so much. So they wanted to give
Mm,
everything. They
mm.
forget again their divine feminine energy, and that's not a healthy conversation anymore because you are the one leading the conversation. Again, as what Polly said, it should be shared. It's all about knowing when to receive and knowing when to give.
Yes, beautiful.
And I think that's what trans women, and I think that's what makes trans women so powerful. We are very versatile. No
Exactly.
pun intended.
And also, I want to also add, like, they love negotiating, right? Like, that's why a lot
Yes.
of men loves business. It means, like, if you talk to them in a negotiating way, they would love it. Girls, yeah, lead the way.
So it's really important for to know what you want, regardless of what you want. It may be a hookup, it may be you don't know what needs to be done, or you don't know where you're going to. You just really need to be honest. And the fact that you are honest about it, it's a healthy conversation. If the other person is not taking it positively, it's not your fault. Perhaps it's a sign that they are not the right person for you.
A man that's ready will move the mountains for you, will fly, will cross seas, will cross continents just to meet you. And that speaks a lot about you eventually, because you feel like, okay, you're seen, you're validated, etc. That's a good part. But again, we rarely get to see men do that, and people probably feel that, that belongs in the fantasy. But no, that is still alive. When the man wants you and when the man is ready, he will be there. The question is, are you ready?